So everyone, my favorite time of the week, my favorite time of most of my viewers' week. Janine, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm doing good actually. I'm doing good. I've sort of had a bit of a shift because I've had a few sort of up and down weeks, and this week it's just been so powerful because I've really just been focusing on everything I can do for myself. So on health side of things for myself and the animals, on wellness, on getting some of the community projects up and going. So it's been really exciting actually, just
Mhm.
putting my energies into the positive stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I think that that whole message, get your house in order, could go on lots of levels, like your spiritual house. So get connected spiritually, stay grounded, get your own personal health in order, or at least make some moves towards doing that, whatever you can do, right? Whatever degree you can do that, because everybody's different degrees they're capable of doing that. Whatever degree you can be prepared for a potential situation for like 7 days or something, try to be that, like to whatever degree, and like just all across the board, you could be saying, get your house in order.
I think it's so true. It's such good advice. And for me, I mean, I have stocked up on essential things for my animals and things in particular,
Mhm.
particularly since I've got quite a lot of old ones. And it just gives a real feeling of peace because then you
Yep,
feel, right, I'm taking the control back into my own hands as much as
yep,
possible, which really works for me anyway. So, yeah.
yeah, because we don't
So
want to be vulnerable. We don't want to be vulnerable
exactly.
to these creeps anymore.
One thing I did see my mother today, and even my mother had noticed that a lot of the shelves were empty in the UK, and a
Mm,
lot of the people that she'd been speaking to have been saying that people are panic buying. So that was
mm,
quite interesting.
mhm.
Because, you know, she was speaking to people that weren't in what we would call the awoke community. So somehow that message is getting out to people in the general community, and a lot of people seem to be what they would call panic buying.
I wonder if there's an unconscious knowing, like I was saying, things are filtering down in people's consciousness, even if they're not consciously speaking about it. I've seen a really big change in people arguing with what I'm saying. Friends aren't saying anything when I make certain comments. I'm not getting the pushback or the shock. They actually look like they might be thinking about it. Like people that I was arguing with are no, like it feels like they have some kind of understanding that things aren't the way they appear, and that's filtering down to even, I think, the most asleep people. And I think the programming the white hats have been doing, and I'm telling you, that's what they've been doing. Every time I look at any situation, we're being programmed out of the programming. And I think it's brilliant. Frankly, I'm absolutely amazed at that it's working. And that you could be just saying an example of how it's working.
Yeah, I think it is. It's really good. So there's been lots happening today. I was just saying before we started, I've rewritten the questions about 5 times because there's information coming in from everywhere.
Yep.
But one of the things that really caught my eye today that's been doing the rounds is the US Department of Justice has declared that the
Yep.
is that it can be mandatory. It's legal to make it mandatory. So what they've actually said is they've said that federal law cannot stop any public agency, private business requiring compulsory,
Mm.
and that's just been announced today. Can we ask the cards about that, about what on earth is going on? Because up until
Yep.
this point, it's everyone thought that legally in their various countries they couldn't enforce that. So this is a game changer.
Or so they want you to
So
think.
they want you to think. Yes, good point. Well done for picking me up on that.
Okay, so it's saying surrender to, you're going to need patience to wait this through. Okay, there's things going on in the downside that you don't know about, like who knows what people are making. Whoops, there goes my necklace. What people are making the laws, are they legally able to even make that law? Is that even like, because there's things going on the background. I mean, if you think about it, Mr. B is not actually in charge and his whole group isn't. So if that's the case, that's soon to come out. That has to come out really soon. So that could be part of overturning what was said out in public. Okay, because there's this card here, which is there's things going on. Also, be careful not to stress. This card stresses about things that aren't necessary. This is a wasting energy stress card, where about 30% of what you're stressing might be true, but the whole rest of all those swords going sideways says you likely have the wrong idea. So don't put your energy over there. You got to wait this through. Patience, just like I had to have patience on my drive home that time when I kept getting those signs saying, oh my goodness, you're going to have terrible weather, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember that story where I was driving and we have these big signs across the highway and they were telling me constantly how bad it's going to get. And it was bald, absolutely dry highway all the way home. None of that was happening, but I was getting these big fear. It was like they were trying to push all my buttons. And the universe told me on that trip, this is a sign of what's going to happen to the human race. Pay attention, share this with your audience. That's the kind of signs I get. Brilliant. I don't have intel from the, I don't have direct intel from the white hats or anything, nothing like that. But the universe says, okay, this is what you got to tell your people this. That's what I get. So that's what I'm getting. Same thing again. Don't buy it, you guys. Don't buy into this is going to stick. It's not going to stick. Okay.
Yeah.
Things are going on in Canada where they actually verbally have had very high health minister and one other person in the high up in the government actually admitted, and I shared this on Instagram, and of course they're repressing the knowledge, but admitted in a court situation, this guy brought it to court and they admitted that they literally don't have, like, the illness isn't literally a thing because they hadn't isolated it, and like it was a riot. They legally don't have the science to back that it was even an issue. Okay, this is what's absolutely wild. So go to my well, you'll probably find that clip on my Instagram still, hopefully. They've been banning those kind of clips, but that's real. They went through court for that. And this fellow in Canada has been pushing these things through and making them admit. So trust me, they're going to do stuff like that in the US too. Like that stuff can't stick. It can't stick, you guys.
Yeah, fantastic. So the next question, I'm getting the sort of scaremongering ones out of the way first. The next question is, let me think how to phrase this. Are we being distracted with all these issues like that to take our attention off what they're really doing, which is to be able to digitally control all the people in all the different countries? Because there seems to be quite a few things coming in different countries. What are those, sir?
Okay, well, that was the plan.
Yeah.
That was the plan by these guys. Remember, this is my deep state dark cult card. This is a very Waverly card. So a lot of that was the plan, and that is what you're seeing. Okay. This is in the past. So manipulations, and this guy's really conniving and sneaky, especially when badly aspected.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the plan, but a lot of that's been stepped away from. So that whoever asked that question's buying into that the white hats aren't doing anything and there's no alliance. And if that was true, we would be hooped, you guys. If that was true, we are absolutely hooped, but we're not, because in the background, things have been done on our, so this is to the benefit of humanity. Things have been done, and there's a whole bunch of things in place in the background. This card's about built on a firm foundation. Somebody's working really hard on our behalf in the background to create it so we're not in that position. And remember, Mr. T, when he was first in power and all through his 4 years, I remember he had a saying he would say, and nobody could, like, people laughed about it all the time. He said, I'm the only thing between you and what's coming. So you better get on board with what I've been doing, because I'm the only thing stopping them. And nobody knew what the heck. I didn't certainly know what he was talking about, because I was absolutely brainwashed by CNN. And once I unbrainwashed myself, if that's a thing. Once I stepped away from that and let the cards really talk to me and listen to my instincts, and opened my heart and admitted that I'd been wrong. Okay, I really saw how it was, and yeah, him and a group working with him, and he was the front of it. He's not the hero per se,
Yeah.
but he's been working really hard, and I don't know how they got him on board to work, because he's been involved with the bad guys and has connections even in family. We know that.
Yeah.
But it takes one of them to know what those guys are capable of.
And I think that's such an important point that you've just said, because everyone sort of always picks on things like that and said, oh, you just taking him as an example, he's had these bad connections at the start. But as we always said, I wouldn't know how bad the EMF radiation was had I not worked for a company and that been my job. And then when you see all that inside data, so sometimes you've actually got to go there to a degree to realize what's really happening. You wouldn't other see it from the outside. So that's a really, really important point, And then the time comes is once you realize what's going on, that's the point in your life where you're at the crossroads, and which choice do you take?
I think they sat him down a long, long time ago, and before he ran, maybe even, and said, listen, here's what we're proposing, and we think you're the guy for the job. Are you going to take this on? And he made a choice at that time to be on the good side. And guess what? He's earned respect for that.
Massively.
Regardless what he's, I don't think he was ever, I think he drew the line, which is why they went to him. He drew the line on a lot of the really yucky things that they do. He was quite independent somehow, because you can be connected to those families and be independent. I mean, look at the Kennedys.
Exactly.
They're all connected. Like, they're all connected, even to the royals and whatnot, right? There's so many connections to those big families, but people do step away and do the right thing. And there's a handful of those people that have been working on our behalf.
Thank God. Yeah. So, that's fantastic. So let's look at the next one. Okay, there's an internet company called realrawnews.com, and they're obviously reporting on the tribunals and things.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, they're saying certain things and certain people have just been taken off the earth plane very recently. Whilst obviously we've been hearing stories that, some were done years ago. So there's so much conflicting information. So could we look at realrawnews.com and sort of see how legit that site is? Have they got good, real intel?
Well, they use creative license, because this card's unique and independent, very independent. Wands are independent, but also creative license. So it's very creative. So they tell their stories in a really creative way.
Yeah.
They do get info from military. They do get info from military, and their sources they got good sources, but then they take it and turn it into a digestible story. So maybe they changed the date to make it more current. I mean, if you think about it, if that stuff all happened years ago, maybe it's not time for us to know that, because that would really freak people out. Because to know that this has been going on for years, I'm really seeing that I'm thinking this movie's been playing for a long time.
Oh my God. I mean, one of my friends is a real film buff, Susie, and I don't watch any films, so I'm clueless on that. And she's always pointing out all these films from, 10 years ago and things like that, where all these messages have been in there, clear as anything. And I mean, I know I've watched The Matrix, and that's as far as it goes. And you're just like, oh my God, it just shows how long this has been going on.
This has been going on, and the good guys knew about it too. I think it really got kicked up a notch at 9, and then the number 11.
Yeah.
I think around those time that it really kicked up a notch, because they were going forward with a positive plan financially for the world.
Yeah.
And that just got shut down with that horrendous drama that was all blamed on people from far away, which was totally delusional, really.
Yeah.
And we were completely bamboozled with the biggest psyop ever. I mean, they'd been psyops before, but this one was the biggest to that date anyway. And we just got completely fooled.
Wow, I know.
Yeah, and it was funny because somebody asked me about the government had just got in right at the beginning of that year, so 9 months before that happened, that
Yeah.
September thing happened. I was on a television show for the first time, and it was a breakfast show in Calgary. And just for the hoot of it, they asked me right at the end of the program, they asked me, so I was answering really silly questions on air. You know, they don't take readers seriously. But they were asking me really silly questions, and they asked me finally a serious one. They said, well, the government, I guess it was Bush Jr., had just got in 9 months prior to that happening. And they said, how's that going to go? And I literally did a layout where the tower showed up.
Oh
And
my
the tower, if you look at the tower card, it's got that lightning bolt striking it, and there's people falling out of the tower, and it's on fire. Okay. And they zoomed in with the camera on it. And this was about what, the year 2001, maybe, or 2000. It was just turning from 2000 to 2001.
Yeah.
Was that when 9 and then that?
Yeah,
11?
because my daughter was born December 2001, so it was September.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so the year was just turning from 2000
Yeah.
to 2001. Yeah, so they
Wow.
had me on. It was right at New Year's, and we got that, and we got a 9-month card. That it was the 9 of Pentacles, I remember, and I said, and people have told me what I said because I never remember when I'm channeling. I knew nothing about politics and still really don't really, you know, but even back then I was absolutely clueless. I was a card reader full-time for people's love lives and family lives. And I was absolutely not doing anything like I'm doing now. I had no clue about it, no clue about who the Bushes were, no clue.
Yeah.
Like zero knowledge of stuff like that. I was just in my own little bubble. Anyway, so I said, oh, well, it looks like, and people have repeated this back to me. I don't even remember saying it, but I said, something's going to go down in 9 months with this administration. And it's going to be, I literally said, an inside situation that's going to cause a lot of drama and chaos, the tower. And everyone will think it's an outside. Don't ask me where I got this, because you just channel stuff out your mouth. I said, everyone will think it's an outside situation, but it's internal. And I said, how they deal with it is going to really change sort of the course of humanity, really, basically. And I just left it at that. And the guys are like, oh, and then they changed the subject to something really, I think it was some sports question. So it's like, wow. And then I forgot even saying that. And then when the thing happened, people wrote me that to me, because back then we weren't on email and stuff so much. They wrote to me and or phoned me or whatever and let me know that I'd said that. They said, oh, you predicted this, by the way. And so then I started looking at it through that lens instead of the narrative that they were pumping out. And sure enough, very early on, I could see that I'd already called it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That is incredible. So keep the faith, everyone. Keep the faith with what's going on. So yeah. We've got something in the UK called Childline, and it's basically a helpline for children who are in difficult situations and things where they can confidentially call. It's been going for years. Can we ask the cards whether that's a legitimate organisation to help the children, or whether unfortunately it's got dark undertones?
Say the name of it again.
Childline.
Okay, it's been overturned by it was a dark side op, and there's the tower, you guys. So that was just talking about.
Wow, that's
right. Couldn't be more.
Oh my God.
The word tower. Okay, so this card's our good guy card. Good guys are in charge of it, but they had to wrestle and fight to get control of it. In the past, it's been controlled by the bad guys. And it was a way to traffic these energies here.
Yeah.
Infants and children card. Okay, so it was a way to do that. And it's been, so it was a money machine, and they've had to step away from, so they're not making the money they used to make. There's still a few pockets doing things like, probably they haven't stopped all of what was going on, but they've stopped a whole lot of it, because somebody's had to walk away from their little money machine here.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. Oh, just when you find out these things, it's just completely shocking, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You just think, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, all over, not just the UK, but politicians all over the world are saying things that then they're then reversing and saying it was mistakes. So a typical one that quite a few politicians have said is that a lot of hospital admissions and people being hospitalized for the disease are people that have been 1, 2. Now, are those, because there's a lot of people sort of supposedly saying these things and then they're going back and correcting it afterwards and saying it was a mistake. Is that a white hat or a dark hat operation?
So that was secretly, those things were what you could call leaked on purpose. So that's soft exposure. So that's just to help the sleepers. So all of this is sinking in to on an unconscious level. When you hear truth,
Yeah.
So that's why when you're hearing non-truth, like almost everything else that comes out of politicians' mouths, right? It's non-truth.
Yeah.
And once you wake up, you absolutely instantly know. But on some level, everybody's this is filtering down even to the sleepiest sleepers.
Yes, because it will, you say, it will be programming them, won't it? It will be programming them. Yeah.
It's going to make it easier when the truth comes out for people to digest, because on some level they already sort of heard this.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
The next one's about the Schumann resonance. So the Schumann resonance has been massively spiking recently. Is this showing that globally there's a lot more people awake than we think?
It seems to reflect emotional energy. So that's interesting. And if you think about it, it's pretty emotional times.
Yeah.
Bad and good, of course, are feelings, right? So it somehow connects to our feelings and it reflects feelings. So, okay, don't forget that our emotions apparently, so the bad guys, okay, really have had SRA, so they don't have feelings anymore. So they mostly got brought up in those kind of conditions where, so if they were human to start with, because we know some of them aren't.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if they, or partly aren't, but if they were to begin with, they got that, beaten and out of them. Horrifically things done to them. So it's SRA. So look it up if you don't know what that is. So we're not going to spell it out on this show, but look it up. SRA. What is it? And maybe DuckDuckGo that. Don't go to Google. Okay, because I'll tell you it's fake news, which it is not. Anyway, so that the more people are becoming aware of the power they have emotionally, okay, and that's why they want to shut off emotions and why they do what they do to their own children, because they believe you're more powerful. They think without them to do that, because they wouldn't be able to go ahead and do the things they do. But what they're trying to get, so now they don't have the use of the creative power of the emotions anymore. So they need us to siphon that creativity off. So they don't want to feel it themselves, because then they wouldn't be able to do their disgusting things. Okay, so on one hand, they don't want that. But on the other hand, they need us to provide them with the hit of that emotion, because that's creativity. And so it's basically saying that our emotional energy is being shown on that. So everybody's in high emotional state. I'll tell you, I sure am. I'm either absolutely ecstatic when something, I see something happening, or I'm down in the dumps like everybody. But of course, I try not to be there when I come on camera, because I know my job. And my job is to help everybody get through this. I'm just walking us through the dark night of the soul. And I know I was put here to do it. I'm happy to do it. And I'm not trying to be anybody's guru or none of that. No way. It's my job. It's my service to humanity. And I had to do it. I'm not even going to be a whole person till I'm doing it till I drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
like my passion, right? Okay. So all of that passion and emotional energy that's been shut off in these yucky energies they turned people into or whatever, the dark cult, dark hatters. Okay. So they need this. So the Schumann energy, residence is,
Yeah.
I can't say the words very well,
Human
but anyway,
resonance. Yeah.
that's is showing us how intensely emotionally high everybody is,
Yeah.
not just with good emotion, but also scared emotion and all the emotional stuff. So that's interesting. So you asked, is it showing, if we can switch it to joy and not fear, and it'll be really useful to humanity. And if we can, but if we use it or use all that emotional energy for negative emotions, it's not going to be helpful. So I don't know if that answered your question.
I think it does, because to me that sums up what we were talking about last week a bit, with where, you know, the dark feeds on fear.
Yeah.
And so, you know, physiologically, what happens to your body when you're in a state of fear or excitement is pretty similar. You know, my breathing goes, my heart rate goes, I get a bit sweaty, etc. So the fact is you can choose to label it and focus on that heightened emotions and feelings. You can label it or feel it as fear, or you can feel it as excitement moving forward. And I think it's really important we all choose the excitement moving forward rather than allowing it to keep going into the fear mode, because it is hard at the moment. You know, it is hard because there's so much moving forward in what we would see as the wrong direction. I mean, on that note, have you seen the reports over the last week or so that come out and then get rapidly taken down from people in Germany where all the floods were? There were reports from some reporters about children's bodies being in the flood waters.
Yeah. So, 600, I heard. Yes, interesting number, 600.
Very interesting. So can we ask, is that true, that report?
Yeah.
And if, and then, well, we'll ask if it's true first.
Yeah. And I did read on that very thing today. So the video.
Did you? Oh, okay, brilliant.
But I'll read on it as well and just see what more details. And everybody can go watch Tarot by Janine to get the other part of this.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, so it has everything to do with what these bad guys been up to. So those children came from activities these guys are up to. So these are our bad guy card in the way I've been reading now. It's not always a bad guy card, by the way. It can be a really great card, but because of this topic, it's been coming up as the bad guy card. So that's why I'm reading it that way, just for people that read cards to know. Okay, so, and a lot of them were infants and young children, right? Under 12, that card, 12, like 0 to 12. So it's not, we are talking children here. And it will come out, so it's true. And it will come out. It has been repressed, but it will, the stuff like this never stays down. It's going to come out. So that was something that would happen naturally when floods subside somewhat and things come up to the surface that have been underground, right? Because that's floodwaters rise, all of that stuff. So that's just natural occurring thing that would happen because there are dumbs underneath people's feet.
Yeah.
Go look up DUMBS. Okay, so military things that have been built supposedly by the military. I think not just the military, but the reason they say that a lot of them are utilized military tunneling and whatnot is because they originally might have been used that way. But I think they also have been building entire cities under there, and this has been going on since the beginning of humanity. Is what I figure. What's been going on underground, and they have whole entire places where they're, they have encampments where I can't say a lot of the words, but
exactly. I
think they have sort of things that they do to humans that actually are horrendous, obviously, and use all their body parts for all kinds of things. So,
but it's interesting because I've been saying, and lots of other people have been saying for ages, because people have been asking about the flooding for ages and whether it's clearing these underground tunnels. but it never made sense, because that was the whole point. If it was related to that, you wouldn't just get clean water coming out.
No.
You'd get all sorts of debris coming out. So that
Yeah.
was the first time I'd actually sort of seen that. So just keeping on the time, because I've got a very important thing to finish with. One of the things that's quite interesting is Kanye West. I've seen quite a lot of reports recently that he is now on the good side and being used to disclose quite a lot. Can we ask the cards whether that's true or not?
That's a new one. I haven't heard that lately.
No, that was something I've only seen this week, but it's come up quite a few times.
Yep, he is. So he's always been a little on the fence. Like, I think he's been on the bad side of the fence too. I think he was manipulated mentally, you know how they do. And I personally think his family might have been connected, or, you know, I know he loved his mom and everything, but she might have been connected, or there was some kind of connection there. But anyway, so it looks like he's clearly on this is our good military side. They looked like they approached him. And they knew he was an independent thinker. So he's not entirely sold out to that bunch, which actually I got when I did a really deep dive on him on Deep Dive Fridays. Ashley and we got that.
Oh, I'll have to watch that one.
Yeah, that ex-wife of his was definitely a handler. And then he goes in and out of, you know, like his programming, and he fights it a lot, which is where you see where he goes and he connects with Trump that time.
Yes.
And all this weird stuff that he's done. Yeah, I think that those are time. Yeah, he's been very hurt by, very, very hurt by, and they never really took away his emotions. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
They even say that possibly he agreed in a programmed state to let his mom be taken off the earth plane for his fame and fortune. Okay, so if that was the case, that would have hurt him deeply once he realized what happened there, because these look really hurt. So we got those two cards. So he's been really hurt by that bunch, and he's absolutely causing them damage now on the good guy side. So speakings, singing like a canary, giving information. Yes, he is.
Brilliant.
Yes, he is. And it's really hard on him because he's been very manipulated himself. So this is hard. He's in a really hard place right now.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like that. So, quite a lot of questions for people about whether the EBS is likely to happen imminently at all.
So there's that careful card, moving forward carefully. So it's always considered, and it's a unique approach that it's about a 70% with that card. So, and this card here is judgment. So they're daily looking at it like, is this the day we need to do that? Can we get away with that? Because I think they want the response to be, people are happy to hear, instead of gonna demonize, Mr. T again, right? So they don't want that. They want this to be received by enough people, even if a lot of those people receiving it have been sleepers. If when this thing comes out, it clicks the programming the good guys have been doing, you know what I mean? So they're gauging
switches. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
because both sides have been programming us.
Because they don't want that the fear response where people are demonizing and now running from and going even thicker into sleep because they're thinking somehow that's bad. Right. So once they hear the truth, so they're looking at it. So they're absolutely every single day looking at it.
Yeah.
So they haven't entirely committed. This card's, so if you look the card up, 3 of Wands. So they've got their walking shoes on, and the guy has come out of his safety, and he's seriously committed a large degree to a journey, but he's not, it has to be 4 wands before he's still got one of those wands is behind him and one's in front. So he hasn't walked through the gateway yet.
Yeah.
So they're not, They're not 1,000% committed, but they're 70% committed.
Yeah.
And every day they look into, is this what we need to do here? Can we do this? So yeah, it's absolutely sitting there, just ready to go if it needs to.
Fantastic. Now, this was a very interesting question. One of our listeners has got a husband that works in the airport, I think in the UK. And apparently they've started changing the way that they take the PCR tests. Now, there's stuff that's come out in the news recently that before the end of the year, I can't remember the exact month, they're going to stop using the current tests and use ones that are somehow involved with Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci funding. Surprise, surprise. But the question we've got now is apparently at the airports, they used to take a swab down the throat and up the nose, and now they've stopped and they're just doing up the nose. And all the people have noticed that there's a change, the staff. So is this a good thing that something's changed with those tests, or a bad thing?
And they can have instant results like that. They're doing it right
I
at
don't
the
think it's instant results I don't know. Yeah, I think they must be the ones. I don't know whether it's the tests that give you an instant yes or no, but they've said they've changed the way they take the tests. So instead of doing the throat and the nose, all of a sudden they've dropped the throat, and they're all like, well, why are you suddenly changing it? What's happening? And I don't know whether that's a good move, that something's changing with the tests, the way they're being taken, or a bad move.
It's supposed to alert you that it's a bad move. It's supposed to, I get it's part of the movie.
Mm.
Okay. And here's what they want to do. They want you to be alarmed, because guess what? The thing they changed it to was the worst. We know that's definitely not cool, going up the nose. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's even when my son had to get tested a couple of times over the school year, I would go with him, of course, even though he was almost 18. And I would be like, okay, if they were going to do that up the nose, I was like, no way.
Right, exactly.
Only throat. And I had to argue and wrestle verbally with a couple of people. And it's like, there's no way you can do that with the throat. Like, get over it. What kind of thing are you doing here? Right. So of course, I'm sure they flagged me as crazy parent, but I don't care. Do you know what I mean? And so I think they're trying to alarm us, but the alarm that what they're doing is the unprogramming thing. So it's not doing what we've been led to believe that one up the nose does, but they're trying to get you to think it is, because the government's doing this to you. Why are they? They want us to question the narrative. When they see people questioning, like what's going on in Australia.
Yeah.
So they had that leaked footage of it was a audio of police getting together. I don't remember exactly what area. I looked into it on Tarot by Janine today as well. But they're talking about, if they need to, they're going to take down the government there. And I got that as to be true. And those people aren't part of the movie, but of course they're utilizing that leaked footage as part of the movie, but they're real. I got that those were real people doing a good thing, going, you know what? We got family and wives and children, even though we might be police officers, we got wives and children, and we're all humans. This is affecting family members. This is affecting our people, and we got to do the right thing. And that's what that was all about. And more of that needs to happen. So they're trying to get the response of people going, no, we're not going to let this thing happen to us. We're not just going to lie down and let them stick things up our nose.
Exactly.
And do horrendous things. What are you going to bend over next? You know what I mean?
And I know, and that's the thing. It's like people need to realize that there's no biological reason for doing that. You know, they can get your whole DNA from a cheek swab. So everyone should be questioning it. And you see these horrendous pictures where they're doing it to babies and the babies are screaming. And you're like, what are you even thinking of? I can't wait to watch that episode, because I haven't seen that. That's going to be an absolute storm. As soon as I come off here, that's what I'm watching. How fantastic.
Okay.
I'm going to ask this one now because it's so important. I don't want to run out of time. So this is from one of our listeners, Linda. Now, assuming we're in the final stage of the battle, what wisdom can the universe share with us for those people that are awake to help the rest of the humanity through this time? And I just thought that was a really lovely question.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so be ready to talk things out with anyone that shows interest, because even if in the past they ridiculed you, if they seem even remotely interested once things start, and they are becoming clearer and clearer. Like, for instance, any minute now, my sister could come around. That's how I can see it in her eyes. And she's a nurse. I can see it in her eyes that she could actually come around to some of this at least. So if anyone shows any kind of, this is a positive shift card where they're quantum leaping or starting to question, even if in the past they laughed at you, okay, put aside and forgive them for the laughing at you. Okay, if they're showing any kind of like, tell us about this, because there's going to be a lot of this going on. I'm like, everybody, right? And you're going to need to be the one sort of calming people down and explaining things. Okay, be ready to explain when someone's remotely open to it. I'm not saying go to people that aren't open to it, but when they show now they're shifting into being open because things are coming out fast and furious, which we know they have been and they are. Okay, if they're even showing any sign, be willing to talk. Okay, so that's important, right? And be willing to share. If somebody gets in a bad situation and they're out of something and you have more of it, trust in the universal abundance and share what you have in times of if things do get shut down, because you know they're only shut down for maybe 5 or 10 days at the most is what I'm getting, and not months and months. But these people might not know that. Okay, and that's part of the wake up fear thing. Okay, so they might not know going into it, how many days is this going to be? And I didn't prepare, even though you might have said prepare. Okay, but they didn't because they weren't listening. Don't deny them to her.
Brilliant.
So have compassion. Don't be a total, I don't mean a martyr or whatever. I'm not saying that. I don't believe in martyrdom. But if someone's showing openness and coming around, you open up to them if you can. That would be good.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's
be a good example of what a good human does without martyring yourself and putting yourself in harm's way. Obviously, take care of yourself, but then be open if someone's showing openness.
That's so important. And I think, it is, we really have got to put our money where our mouth is. So, and just, behave in a way that we want the universe to deliver back to us energetically. So that's really good. So you've got time for one more. Right, this is from another listener, and I thought this was quite a fun one. I have no opinion whatsoever at all. But again, they want to know, is Candace Owens related in any way to Martin Luther King? And I thought that was quite fun.
Getting a big yes.
Oh my God, because when they asked that, I was thinking, oh, this is just getting silly now. Oh my God.
Getting a big yes.
Because she's a powerhouse, isn't she?
Through a woman's side of the family.
Right, okay.
A feminine side, the feminine side. Tower. So she's in a hard place right now. She's been really I think there's a lot of pushback against her because she's been doing a lot of good, I think.
Yeah.
So let's put some positive energy towards her. I feel like she knows way more than she even says, and is way more on the inner circle than she would admit to. And so could be in a lot of peril sometimes. So we need to send her some positive energy.
That's so important. And she's one of these people. There's a few people you sort of you know, I was about to say meet, but I haven't met her, but perhaps I will in the future. I'd love to meet you, Candice. But her mind is off the scale. She's like Trump in terms of she's off the scale intelligence wise, but in a good practical intelligence wise. I mean, she's so quick thinking and so eloquent and passionate. It is amazing to watch her perform. I think it really is, to speak, because she knows so much about so many different things, and she comes
Yeah.
across as so authentic. So let's all send her lots and lots of love and support, because we need her, and we need her to be safe and happy.
I get that same vibe from Mel K. And
Yes.
you know, people like to pick on Mel K too. It's interesting, but I absolutely get her, like similar, really smart and knows so much. Yeah, there's some brilliant young women on the scene in the States that are just, you know, kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I agree. I think Mel K is absolutely brilliant. And, you know, again, I think so much of the information started and originated from her and her research. And she does know so much on so many different levels. And she's just done so good to still be out there sharing it and everything. Yeah. So we love you, Mel. So thank you so much, Janine. So, God, we covered so many different things today. I'm going to go and watch your one that you talked about, because there's loads of things in there I want to hear. Thank you.
We love you, Candice, too, by the way.
Pardon?
Not to take away from Candice. We think Candice is doing fantastic work. I was trying to overshadow her with Mel.
Oh, no, exactly.
They're coming cut from the same cloth, warrior-wise, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so, so much. Have a brilliant, brilliant week. Yep. It's weird. When they started off today, it was bright sunshine. Now we've got a storm, but that's part of the course this stage. I always say, yeah, the storm's on us again, but it will move on past. So have a brilliant week, and we should really look forward to catching up with you next week. Thank you so much.
Yeah, everybody, don't forget, as you're walking along and things are good on one hand, but you're being told all these things that are pushing all your buttons, don't forget about that story I tell.
Yes.
Notice what's really happening. Notice how wonderful nature is. Notice your beautiful creatures and animals. Notice the good around you, and stay focused on that, and not on all those signs that are blinking and telling you all of these horrific things that are going to happen to you. Don't agree. I don't agree to that. That's not happening.
Yeah, it's here. And one final thing before we go, because I meant to mention this as to start and I forgot. Mark Devlin has just done another video and announcing that the next global meditation, where everyone meditates their own, but 8th of August at 8 p.m. UK time. And the results from that have really sort of shifted quite a lot. So I just wanted everyone to say, if you can look at Mark Devlin's YouTube video on that, he's still up at the moment. But just a date for everyone's diary, 8th of August, 8 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Thank you.